Hello, and thank you for watching The Righteous Kitchen, a cooking and baking blog found at www.therighteouskitchen.blogspot.com. Today I want to share with you my grandmother's recipe for Dolma, also known as Sarma. Now, both of these are Turkish words, and Dolma means to stuff, such as a bell pepper. You would stuff the bell pepper, or zucchini, and Sarma means to wrap. So you would put the filling in cabbage and wrap it, or you would put a filling in grape leaves and wrap those. So Dolma and Sarma. So how I'm going to prep this, and here's my recipe card. I remember when I was newly married and my grandmother and my great aunt came to my house, and my grandmother taught me how to make this. Now, she never measured anything. She just threw everything together, and I stopped her as she put in each ingredient and measured it. And I have stuck with that Dolma filling, and then that's, just keeping that tradition on. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I have a variety of vegetables here. I have zucchini that my husband grew in the garden, and the size of the zucchini, these are a little bit big, but I'm going to go ahead and use them. But the size of the zucchini is a little bit bigger than this. And then we have these yellow squash also. And I like to use the sweet mini bell peppers. I like the coloring that you get. And then I like that you could have a smaller size pepper. Now, my grandma would always use the big green bell peppers, and as a kid, surprisingly, I liked those as well. But I really prefer, now that I'm older, to have the color and then the smaller size. So I want to show you how we prep the zucchini, and I'm just going to cut off the ends, and then you want to kind of see how big of pieces you want. About like that, I would say. So give them all a cut. So I have the zucchini cut, and then I take an apple core and I just go right through the center. And now it's ready to stuff. So I'll just put it all in a bowl and off to the side. So and you want to be careful while you're doing this, because it could slip out of your hand. See there, it slipped right there. So be careful, they are slippery. All right. If you don't have the apple core, you can just use a spoon. Just kind of work your way and scoop it out. Try not to tear everything up. You could even use this back part of a spoon. And just scoop it out. This back part of the spoon is working really nicely. Move over and show you the peppers. You just chop the top off, and then I just clean them up a little bit. Now, all these I'm going to rinse really well in the water. My grandmother probably rolled cabbage leaves, I think once a week she would roll them. So what you do is you just pull off any loose leaves, and then this core, we want to take it out. So I'm going to get a paring knife actually. A shorter knife is going to give me more control to get in here. But I'm going to do like a triangle. I'm just going to cut a triangle right around that core. Then I'm going to go in here and kind of bevel cut that triangle, just so I can start popping out these pieces. Alright, so there's still core right here, so I need to cut in there more. You want all that core out because that's what's holding all these leaves together. Now I don't like the looks of that, it's dirty, so I'm going to pull that off. This right here. I'll just cut that. Okay, so what I'm going to do at this point is put this in boiling water. So I'm going to come back, bring my pot of water to a boil, and then I'll set up the camera over at the stove. Okay, I have this pot of water that's boiling, and I just have it a little over halfway in the Dutch oven. And I have this cabbage with the center core that has been hollowed out. I have a bowl here to place the cabbage leaves, and then I have some long tongs. So I'm going to put it in there, and what I want is to soften up that center section. And what you ideally want is to kind of, you know, get the whole thing, kind of twirl it around and stuff. But see how that came right off? Now it's still a little bit tough at the core, so I'm going to let it just soften just a second. See there how it's a little more. Keep in mind you want it to be pliable because you're going to be rolling these. I'm going to go ahead and take this, see how that's foldable now? So I'm just going to put it right in the bowl. And then here's another one. I'm going to go ahead and cut the heat. Now these, once it gets to, you know, real white over here, I don't really roll those. So, but I do use these to keep everything in place so everything doesn't float. So what I'm going to do is keep this smaller piece just as a whole, and I'll separate that when it cools down to top everything with. So that is it. The cabbage has all been separated. So I will go back to the cutting board, and I have one more thing to prep. Okay, we are back at the cutting board, and I have my Dolma prepped, which we're having zucchini, yellow squash, and some mini bell pepper Dolma. And then I have Sarma, and we are having cabbage Sarma, and then we're also having, if I'm going to go through the trouble to make all this, then I'm going to go ahead and put some grape leaves in the mix. So see if I could pop this open. Okay, that's pretty tight, so I'm going to use my little trick here with this paint can opener. And I'm just going to give it a little release. Now, when you're looking for grape leaves, I mean, ideally, you want the young grape leaves. And these are hard to get out of the jar, I will tell you that. So, let me get some tongs. I don't want to completely destroy these. Or a knife. Let's see if I could get a knife in here and help me out. All right, there we go. Okay. So, and I'm not going to use all of this jar. That would be just way too many. Let me rinse my hands real quick. And they come in stacks already. So just go in here and cut some of that woodsy stuff away. All right, so I did 3 on that round. So here we are, we have a stack, they're already lined up. So let's see, we could cut them. Just cut all that woodsy stuff right out. Your preference, if you like to use the scissors, use the scissors. With the scissors, you're going to get a cleaner cut and you're not going to tear up the leaf. So that's enough for my purposes. So what you can do, see where I grabbed that and I just destroyed those leaves there? Keep that on the outside and then come back here and roll this back up. And just put it right back into the brine. Just try to get it covered. So depending on how much filling I have, I might have enough to finish those. But I kind of doubt it because I've got a lot of vegetables here. So, all right, here's all the veggies prepped. Dolma, Sarma. I'll be back to get started on that meat filling. That's fine, we're just gonna pull the leaves from the stalk. And I'm just placing them right on a cookie tray. Because whatever I have left over, I'm just going to go ahead and dehydrate. So that way we won't have any waste. Now, I did stop what I was doing. I was out of fresh parsley. So I did make a special trip to the store to get that. This is a recipe where you're really going to want to use fresh parsley as opposed to dried. I think it just gives it a nice, fresh, brightness to the dish. So I'm going to go ahead and just get all of this off of the stem, and then I'll be right back. I am back, and I have all of the leaves and the stem separated. And in my recipe, I'm going to need half of a cup of parsley. So I'm just going to go ahead and take what I need, set it aside, and then this, I'm just going to set somewhere probably on the stove and just keep it out of the way and let this dry out for several days. This recipe calls for a little bit, just a small amount of stewed tomatoes, but I don't have that in my pantry. But when I was getting the parsley earlier today, I saw these beautiful farm-grown tomatoes. And I said, boy, that's nice and ripe and beautiful. I'll just use this as a substitute for the stewed tomatoes. All right, so while I'm here, I want to show you how to de-seed a tomato. Now, you'd be surprised how many chefs in the restaurants don't know how to de-seed a tomato. So something so simple, but it's just baffling. I asked for a de-seeded tomato for one of my salads that I was eating in a restaurant, and the waitress came back and said the chef didn't have time to pick out each seed from the tomato, so that they were just not gonna put the tomato on the salad. And I just thought that was hysterical that someone working in a restaurant didn't know how to de-seed a tomato. But that's it. We're just going through here and we scooped out all the seeds. Okay, back to my tomato here. I am going to go ahead and get some of this skin off of it. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to put those right to the side. All right, and onion. I'm going to need a half a cup of onion diced. And that probably looks about like a half a cup right there. So what I do is I give it a quick dice, and then I bring my parsley right in here and then just chop it together. So we just want to break everything down into a nice mince. Now I'm going to bring the tomatoes and just run that through just a little bit. All right, so that is ready. The meat mixture is going to include half and half lean lamb and lean ground turkey breast. Now you can use a combination. You could use beef and lamb, all lamb, all turkey, whatever you want to use. I just happen to like the combination of the ground turkey and the lamb. So what I'm going to do is I always fortify my ground turkey so that it'll take on the flavor of beef. And how I do that, it's all over the internet. is I use 1 tablespoon of ground mushroom powder and 1 tablespoon of kitchen bouquet browning sauce. And to this I added a little bit of water so that the mushroom powder could rehydrate. So what I'm going to do is, let me rinse my hands. Wash the gloves so that you don't cross-contaminate anything. And I am going to use my mixer to bring all the ingredients together. So let me set up this camera. All right, so I have the ground turkey with the mushroom powder and the kitchen bouquet. I'm just making sure that gets combined. And then I'm going to add 1 pound of the ground lamb. And then I'm also going to go ahead and add the onion, the parsley, and the tomato. And then I'm using Uncle Ben's rice. Now my grandmother used a combination of Uncle Ben's rice and bulgur. I don't eat bulgur anymore, so I'm just using the Uncle Ben's rice. And again on that, that's just like the meat. You can use bulgur and rice or one or the other. It doesn't really matter. And then I have some righteous seasoning going in. And all I'm going to do at this point is just turn the mixer on and get all this combined. Okay, I'm back and I have the prepared filling as well as the vegetables. And what I'm going to do is I cook these in a crock pot. So I've got my crock pot ready. And then I want to start with the cabbage. So these have cooled down. I put them in the refrigerator to chill. And what I'm going to do is finish prepping these. And that, all that is going in here and cutting the tough part of this stem and then laying it, you want the inside part of the leaf up towards you. So just come in here and you could cut it, you know, quite far up. So I took out that much. So here we go. We can see the leaves are going in this direction. Golf ball size at the edge of the cabbage, at the edge. Fold it in. And then right up from that edge, get it in there. So your ends are sealed like a nice burrito. This here ball that I saved, I'm going to use these as a lining to the bottom of the slow cooker. And then I'm just going to come in here and just place these cabbage rolls right on the bottom. And then what I usually do is I just keep the cabbage rolls on one half of the side, one half of this, so that they're easy. I know right where they are. Okay, the zucchini is easy. You just, get a little filling and just stuff it in there. You don't want to stuff it jammed, tightly. Just go kind of easy on it because it's going to expand as it cooks. And you don't want this filling to get tough. So just lightly press it in there. And the peppers, same thing, you just fill them up. Okay, I've got my Dolma ready. Now I'm going to concentrate on the Sarma. And this is grape leaf Sarma. So what you want to do is, these were pretty much all together from that can, or from the jar. So we're going to lay them out, woody stem side up, and this isn't going to need much filling. So put it in a log, and then you're going to go up a little bit, and then bring in the side, bring in the other side, and roll it. Now these are pretty small baby leaves, so they're not going to be huge, but you really want the baby leaves. They're more tender. The others are chewy and stringy. So we're only using the size probably like a cherry, like a big cherry. Then put it at the end. Bring up the bottom, the side, the other side, and just roll it. Now when you get a bigger leaf, it's going to be easier to work. So here we go. Just the size of a cherry. Kind of roll it into a log. Bring up the bottom, kind of bring it back a little bit. Bring up the side, the other side. There you go, that's a good roll. See how the sides are all tucked in? So it's easier on the larger leaves. Okay, we're back and it's ready to start the cooking. So grape leaves have to be cooked by themselves. They have that brine, and we don't want that getting in the way of the flavors of the other food. So all I'm going to do is just place these in a pot. You want a pot with a lid. And then tomato sauce. I'm going to just, cover them in tomato sauce. And then I'm going to put Let me get a knife here. Since this is a small amount, I'm just going to use half of a lemon and just juice it. And you could even slice it and put that in there for extra flavor. And sprinkle it. I sprinkle mine with my righteous seasoning. Give it a good dose of that. And a little water, probably, let's do a cup of water. A little bit more sauce. And what you want to do, you don't want these grape leaves bubbling and floating, so I'm going to take a saucer and put it right over the grape leaves. Then I'm going to put it on the stove, bring it to a boil, and then kick it back to simmer. So I'll meet you at the stove when I'm ready to put that on there. And then I'll turn my attention to the rest of my ingredients that are in the slow cooker. Okay, so I have everything in the slow cooker. And what I'm going to do is, let's see, we got a cup of water. We're going to do 1.5 cans of tomato sauce. And this is going to give us a really nice, rich broth. I have a half a lemon here. And I'm also going to slice that. It'll be extra flavor. And I'm going to give it a nice sprinkling of that righteous seasoning. Really makes a difference. And then I have the rest of the cabbage. So what I'm going to do is just put a layer of these leaves over the top. And I like to eat these. They're really tasty. Maybe a little more sprinkling. And then I'm going to get these, I'm going to cover and cook on high till it comes up to a nice boil. And then I'll check them in about an hour. On the burner, we have the grape leaves. And I brought them up to a rapid boil. It still has that lid on them so they don't float. And I'm going to put this down to a medium low. And if you had an electric stove, I would probably put that on about a 3. But you can see the flame is pretty low right there. And I'm going to check that in about 20 minutes. So when we check it, we want to make sure there's water in here. And then if you need any more water or sauce, you would add it to it. But we'll just check on those in about 20 minutes. All right, the grape leaves have been simmering for 40 minutes now. Still have plenty of water. And the sauce is thickening up, which is great. And I'm just going to pull one out. Let me get a bowl or a little saucer. Okay, see how this is firmed up now? So all you want to do is just make sure that the meat has cooked through. Mm-hmm. Okay, the meat has cooked through. Nice and tangy. At this point, they're really done. You could let it go another 10 or 15 more minutes if you wanted to. But so if you do it too much longer, your sauce is going to get super thick. I like the consistency of this sauce. Let me show you. A nice rich tomato sauce. So I am just going to call that done. So it cooked about 40 minutes. You could do it up to 60 minutes. That's just up to you. And we're actually done with this plate right there. So you could just get your kitchen tongs and take it out of here. And put that off to the side. I'm going to cut the heat off. All right, so we've got our rice. And that, and then we would put a little bit of this sauce to go with it. Just right over the top. And there you go. Grape leaves. And I'll get a picture of this in just a moment. Okay, this Dolma has been going in the slow cooker for about 4 hours. And I am carefully going to remove the lid here and take a look at it. So it's bubbling away. And what we want to do, we're just looking at it to make sure that the vegetables have softened and that the meat has cooked through. And this has. And I would say this is done. So it's been about 4 hours. And I will plate this up. Okay, I have the Dolma and the Sarma from the slow cooker. That's done now. And it took about 4 hours. And then I also have the Sarma grape leaves that were cooked on the stovetop. And that took about 40 minutes. You could do either of them either way. I just wanted to give you two options. Stovetop or slow cooker. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and plate this up. I also made rice pilaf, and I do have a video for that. And here is just basically how you would plate it. So you want to put your rice in the middle, and I just kind of mound it up in the center. And then we have, let's see here. Let's do a cabbage roll. Hold on. Let's do a squash. Get that in there. We'll do a red pepper. And then we'll do a couple grape leaves. So that's a really nice variety there. And then you have this juice, this tomato broth here that's been, you know, the vegetables have been cooking. in that. So I just kind of spoon it over everything. And then serve it with some pita bread that's been buttered. See where we're gonna put that. And then I like to top mine with madzun, which is the Greek yogurt. Just put some of that. And then Aleppo red pepper. Give it a little sprinkle. And that's it. So there you have it, homemade Dolma and Sarma. Thank you for watching, and I'll get some close-up pictures of this.